Cause and effect. I think probably on an equal par of importance with vibration. Let's get through some very, very basics about things. When things happen, okay, there is always a cause, there is always an effect, okay? You can't have one without the other. That's very simple. But when events happen, let's examine this a little bit better. You're approaching a cabin that sits at the bottom of a hill. You walk in, you look up, there's a hole in the roof, and there's a boulder laying on the floor. Well, gee, this is cause and effect is very simple. The boulder came down the hill, went through the roof, and it's now laying on the floor of the cabin. But is that really what happened? What you're not seeing is the rain that loosened the soil beneath the boulder, or the wind that did that, or some object that rested against it and just loosened it just a little bit, or the years of snow and erosion of the soil underneath it that allowed it to come loose. And the point of all this is usually events are a conflagration of a whole bunch of different causes, okay? And the cause and effect followed back is an incredible thing. Give an example. You're walking by a coal factory, and a bit of smoke or dust from the factory gets in your eye. And you can go back and say, well, it came from the factory, but people brought the coal to the factory. People mined it, and then we keep following it back geologically and how it was created, and it goes back millions of years. So this chain of cause and effect is also very prevalent, okay? Imagine that, something as simple as a fleck of coal dust going into your eye has a chain of cause and effect that goes back millions of years in order for that to happen. So that's what it is it's also different forces coming together, but it is also a chain. So, where does a chain start for you? Every thought that leaves your consciousness creates a vibration that determines your polarity, where you are, and the principles of the secret that are true with the law of attraction. It draws to you, okay? And you are drawn to it. Let's not forget that portion of it. You are drawn towards this event that is going to be the result of what you have created for yourself. Not just the thoughts, but the actions, the way that you intermix or treat other people, because you have all these other vibrations coming in at you, okay, which are going to have an effect on you. So as we have talked about before, what you're really beginning to do is you are starting to control those vibrations. You are starting to decide what your polarity, what your vibration is going to be. And that, through cause and effect, is going to determine not only who you're going to be, but what's going to happen. Okay? So now, we move from there towards looking at cause and effect and saying, where does it take me? Where do I end up being? And a very tough fact to get a hold of and to accept, that through this process of cause and effect, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And if you find yourself in a situation you're not happy with, take that chain, look at it, and go back. In other words, I'm here because I did this, but the reason I did that was because of this, and the reason I did that was because of this, and I interacted with this person, and this caused this, okay? And all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself going back and finding that root cause and going, wow, okay, that's where this all started, that's where it began, and I deny that negative thing. And you are now starting on a new path and a new course of vibration. Also be aware that what you do has the same change, makes the same changes in a forward-moving motion. In other words, you interact with people, you treat them in a certain way, it causes an effect with them. They're either going to react to you positively or not positively, and that whole chain is going to go forward. Let's say, for example, you treat somebody really terribly, and it makes them extremely angry, okay? And the next person they run into, God help them, okay? Because they're going to take out that frustration, that anger on them. And in turn, and in turn, and in turn, till maybe when it reaches somebody who has no control over that aspect of their consciousness, really does harm to somebody. So not only does the chain go back, it goes forward. So this chain that you create through cause and effect and through the vibration, there's the swing between the poles. Not just in you, but the swing on everything, in everything that's around you, and what you move toward and what you move away from. So the idea of all this, create the vibration, create it positively, which is going to create some degree of polarity within you, and that's going to create a positive or a negative vibration, which can not only affect you, but it can affect those around you. It can also affect your existence, because we haven't talked about past lives. Now, in the other part of this website, I devote an entire video and a page to reincarnation. And reincarnation is the establishment of this chain, or the recognition of this chain, that you are a sum total of everything you have been, that everything around you, okay, has been drawn to you by this vibration, and you are now interacting with it. So the secret to this, I hate to use that word again, secret, but there I go. The secret to this, live consciously. Be aware of who you are, how you think, how you act, okay? It's determining who you're going to be, where you're going to go, not only in this life, but the next life. Because there's a lot ahead of us. There's a lot ahead of all of us. The existence that we create goes on and on from one lifetime to another to another. But more immediately, it creates something either positive or negative during this lifetime. Nothing can escape the law of cause and effect. What you look at as lucky does not exist. Luck is just a situation where someone does not recognize the cause that caused that event to happen. There's no such thing as luck. If you were to take a pair of dice and be able to throw them the exact same way every time, start out in the same position and throw them the same way every single time with the same amount of force, they theoretically could land and be on the same total, 7 or a 10 or 11 or whatever it might be every time. But we don't do that, okay? We do not live with that much control. We do not live on a basis that we see our existence as a conscious existence. We see it as reacting to the world and doing what we need to do to react to the world. And we don't recognize the fact that this creates a vibration which creates our life. But we have to begin to do that, because once we realize it, we take a look at ourselves, we view ourselves differently and all of those around us. And we view the world in the same way, and a most miraculous thing, which is mental, and what controls it is mental. And that control is up to us.